Welcome to the Accessible News Revolution. Equal Access Public Media is a nonprofit corporation dedicated to creating accessible news media products and creating jobs through those news media products, and fiscally sponsored by the Alternative News Weekly Foundation. All news is disability news, our belief. Whether it's a new congressional bill, a major court ruling, the recent election or inauguration, or a scientific breakthrough, every news story has an impact on everyone. Being an informed news consumer leads to stronger civic engagement and more democratic participation. We're all affected, so it's essential that everyone has access to reliable, high quality, and informative news. EAPM is committed to making news media accessible for all and fostering a more inclusive news media industry. Our mission: to enrich the lives of the diverse, disabled, and chronically ill community allies and caregivers through accessible news and to create accessible jobs in the news media industry. Our mission is built on 4 core beliefs. Number 1, powering democracy through news. Number 2, empowering people through accessibility to the news industry. Number 3, promoting civic engagement. Number 4, increasing opportunities for employment and career growth. Accessibility means a space for those who are disabled now, those who might be disabled in the future, and those who aren't disabled, a space for all people. The problem: a crisis of inaccessibility. The first barrier to staying informed is access. 4 specific areas represent the barriers to news. Number 1, web inaccessibility. Number 2, financial inaccessibility. Number 3, lack of representation in the newsroom. Number 4, grim employment realities. The problem: web inaccessibility. Over 2.5 billion people rely on assistive technology to navigate the web. More than 90% of websites fail to meet basic web accessibility standards. Images lack alt text and image descriptions. Web video often lacks audio description, captioning, and sign language. Hyperlinks are broken or linked using words that are nonsense or out of context. Articles are written using technical or political jargon and at or above a 10th grade reading level, despite the average American only having a 6th grade reading ability. Lack of alternative reading or listening methods such as easy English for low-level readers or those with intellectual or cognitive disabilities. The problem: financial inaccessibility. 26% of Americans with disabilities live below the poverty line and can't afford luxuries such as cable or news sites locked behind paywalls. In 2020, 78% of news sources had a paywall restricting access to content. A household with a disabled person needs an extra $17,690 per year to achieve the same standard of living as a peer household without a disabled member. The problem: lack of representation in the newsroom. There is no survey of how many disabled or chronically ill people work in the U.S. journalism industry, full-time, part-time, or freelance. EAPM calculated based on data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that disabled people likely only occupy 7.8% of journalism jobs. The problem: grim employment reality and unlivable wages. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 7.3% of disabled adults are unemployed, twice the national average of non-disabled adults. About 14% of adults with disabilities are employed, and most work part-time jobs. The median salary for journalists is $57,000, but the average American needs a minimum of $79,000 to live in the U.S. Our solution: accessible news, accessible jobs. We'll build accessible jobs in EAPM operations, accessible multimedia news products, accessible newsroom jobs created through those news media products, and our first news product and newsroom, the National Tab. Accessible news is news that engages, is clear and understandable, is digestible, educates and informs, is factual, and is free from paywalls or subscription fees. Our flagship daily news product, the National Tab, will set our standard for accessible news. Every story includes a long-form article written to about a 6th grade reading level, Easy English, a simplified English format written to a 3rd grade reading level, a video format with closed captions, ASL, and audio descriptions, ASL translation of text, audio readouts of text, and evidence-based news. By creating news products, we create new jobs in both individual newsrooms and on the operations side of our news products, and in the larger EAPM structure. Jobs are remote, flexible in scheduling that works for and with people, built to be accommodating to individual needs, and solutions-oriented. By allowing employees to work remotely with hours that work around their lives and work combined, EAPM opens job opportunities to more people in the disabled, chronically ill, and caregiver community. Accessible jobs pay a living wage of $90,000 a year for 40 hours of work per week, pay a living wage of $45,000 a year for 20 hours of work per week, and have full benefits. How you can help: donations, grants, and partnerships. To launch the National Tab with a bare-bones newsroom, EAPM estimates a $500,000 budget for 1 year. This includes hiring reporters for beats including government, education, diversity issues, accessibility and disability, science, health and healthcare, the veterans community, and the arts, copy editors and fact checkers, editors, graphic designers, sign language interpreters, audio transcribers for closed captioning. EAPM also needs staff to run our core operations and continue fundraising, new accessible product development, and other projects. We estimate at least a $360,000 need for operations staffing, including UX accessibility designers, development and grant writers, marketing and social media specialists. EAPM represents our community in the mission and in the common purpose of educating and informing the public through producing high-quality, accessible news and creating high-quality, stable, accessible jobs in the news industry. Join us in the accessible news revolution, making news available to more people, taking a methodical approach to factual news, keeping the urgency while discarding the addiction to immediacy, and sticking with the story long past the sensational headlines. Make news accessible. Make jobs accessible.